Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to another H2O Explains. And I'm assuming you've seen the previous video in this series, and there's been a fairly long gap between when we first started this series and when we're resuming it. So do check out the first video if you want to know what it is. This is basically where H2O explains. It's going to tell us all the thoughts going through his mind, all of the things, all the decision makings in some of his games, particularly tournament games. The ones we're looking at here are the round of 8, ACERGAME09 versus H2O for the round of 8 of the Winter Championships 2016. This is game number 2 in the series, of course, following on from where we left off. And by the looks of it, H2O French mirror.
Yes. This is a French mirror. It's a matchup that ACERGAME and myself have both played against each other countless times. Well over 20, 30 times. The last times we played this matchup, we ended up slowly working our way towards really aggressive double racks in the middle, both players, and sending 3 Hussar first.
So I'm fairly aggressive.
Yeah, so I'm expecting aggression, and right out the gate he was able to get a native scout, and so I'm over here kind of battling
being aggressive with it.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to hunt me down. I'm kiting his scout here, trying to you have to do damage to the native scout, otherwise he can just chase you forever, right? Eventually, if you do enough damage, you'll have to back off and just use the explorer, and that's your window to get out. So I'm never really afraid of the native scout. I'm just fine to keep shooting at it. And
like the same you'd do with Treasure Guardians, I guess. It's a nice way to deal with it, when actually, I feel like, especially myself, a lot of times I just walk back towards my base, and then, he has this double scout on me, and you never really end up dealing with it. So nicely dealt with, okay, I see that.
Yeah, so that's really helpful. A lot of players are too lazy. I call it being lazy, when you don't want to go through the effort of, oh, I gotta click and keep clicking, So as long as you're not being lazy, the native scout's very easy to deal with. And right here is a key moment, actually. Based on the way he moves his scout, it's going to tell me what he has treasure-wise in the black that I don't know about, and what his intentions are. So if we unpause it here, you can see him for that brief moment turn around. I saw that in game, and I knew that he was going back this way. And so
from the turn radius, or just
from that one frame,
decided to go
from that one frame where you could see him do a full turn. You see, I looked at that 100 wood. I was checking to see that was the time where he would have cracked it. He didn't crack it.
So you knew which direction he was going.
Yeah, see, look at it. I keep checking it.
Yeah.
And it's not. No, go ahead.
So he wasn't randomly like walking off to the south or something where the bottom trading post is or anything like that. He was going back towards his base, and you can tell that just from looking at that one frame.
Exactly, and you'll notice I don't check anything down here. I just kept checking the 100 wood. I saw he hadn't sniped it at all, so I figured he's got to have something in the black that he wants to get. And if we unpause the fog, we'll see he's getting a 90 food. And that gives me the confidence to start this treasure, where if I thought he was coming, I probably wouldn't want to start it, because he could just kill me. And when I see the 90 food... Yeah, exactly. And when I see the 90 food, I know I'm definitely good to go. And, you can tell, right? If he had come up here, I would have died probably if I didn't know for a fact that he was scouting back here. And it was literally like 1 or 2 frames, right, that gave me all that knowledge. It's those key moments that tell me what he's going to be doing with his Age 1 Explorer.
Yeah. Making sure you're aware of, seeing what's on the map, and that, To be fair, with that treasure right there, I don't know, I mean, I might have risked it. I mean, I think a lot of people might have done. But, you were very certain to go for it. And considering you lost your scout, and there was no way to really sort of scout the treasure and make sure there was no hero in the area, actually able to pick up a nice advantage very confidently, knowing that it's fairly safe to do that.
Yep, exactly. And in this game, it's not about how long, it's not about how much you're scouting, it's about how effective you're being with it. There's a lot of things you can imply or infer just from small little glances like this. And at this point, I'm just trying to sneak out here and get a trading post down. Normally, it's just standard to do in the French mirror. I know he might be being aggressive, but the TP is just good, so I always get it. And I consciously choose to build the lower TP because of that risk of aggression. I'm imagining Bill's up here building two forward racks or something, and just trying to get in my face early. And so, by putting the TP down here, he has to choose between killing the TP and letting me gather. So, if he goes for the TP, I'm happy. If he doesn't go for the TP, I'm also happy. So I can't really lose by building this.
Yeah, and the extra XP is obviously nice. And that's the whole,
It's actually kind of interesting. TPs in a way can slow down the game, right? Like, this does slow down the game. The fact that he has to decide whether he's going to kill this or bell me, playing a slower game for him, killing the TP and then kind of zoning me out is an option for him. And another thing you'll notice, so he hits H2, I immediately queue Greatcoats, and I immediately move my sheep over here. So he did a 12 bill age up, and so I know that he's going to be in my base fast, and I need every ounce of resources I can get. So I've got a ton of guys on gold, and I'm eating my sheep, so that way I end up with a lot of gold and food, so I can call my Minutemen still, and continue villager production and all that other good stuff.
Getting the extra food in now, because you're fairly certain what's coming your way. You're going to need that food. Is not going to have time for it to fatten up.
Yep, and he did a good job here putting his native scouts and stuff, trying to get those free spies up and rolling. He's got another scout back here to watch for me coming back here, and yeah, I mean you can see for sure, right? He's got 3 Hussar card, exactly what we were talking about, and he's got a Rax in the stable, so he's going to have a ton of units in my base real early. And my response to that is to drop a Rax with 4 vills, maybe even 5 here, and I need to get the Rax up before he gets in my base with the 3 Hussar card, right? Because otherwise I won't be able to make any units.
Yeah, building it super quick.
Yep.
Slamming it down.
Yeah, but I just want to get it. I just want to get that up so that way I can start making units. And right as soon as he comes to my base, I instantly queue up minutes, and I think I cancel him. Yeah, I cancel him here because he didn't have the right angle. And then I queue him up again right away. It's very important when the Minutemen come out that they get the most surprise value or surprise damage. Here I make a slight mistake and pop him out the back. He ended up turning around, right, and going for the mine. So I missed these 3 minutes didn't shoot, I guess. So it was half of a volley I lost. Yeah. And in these base defense situations, every volley counts, every bit of damage you can squeeze out, and every bill you can keep alive, right? It's a game of very small details. You'll notice these guys, actually I'll pause to explain this one too. You'll notice instead of just panicking and right-clicking them on the TC, I walk them down away from the cav, which does 2 things. It keeps them in the shape of the mine so they can go back to working faster, and it also, I've already got 10 bills in the TC, or a good number of them. If I just shoot with these and kite with them, he may have to run anyway, and I won't even have to garrison them. And so you'll see these guys get back to mining right away, and also the cav runs away without me having to garrison.
Yeah. Wow, these small things, like the shape of villages around a mine, just to eke out that little bit of extra gold, and all this little bit of extra value here. Looks like those Minutemen are...
See, I ran it again in the same way, and now I have to garrison because he's doing that to me, so...
He's giving you an option in that case, yeah.
Yeah, I had to garrison. At this point, we talk a lot about how you have to have 10. You want to have 10 bills at most of the TC. At this point, it was kind of tough not to have a full bunch of bills in there. I'm using my town center to clear up the units that counter what I'm shipping. So I know I'm going to have a whopping 1 musket and 8 crossbows. So I'm using my bills and TC fire just to kind of try to clean up the cav. Yeah. Another really small thing I'll do is I'll let the cav get all the way up through the animation with the swing. It has a long wind-up, right? So you can see when it's coming, and you can garrison and kind of cancel out their attack, which kind of baits them into lingering a bit longer.
So you're deliberately playing off the animation whilst he's swinging his sword back. The last moment you pop it in, so the damage doesn't go through, but he's still there. And okay.
And they'll even finish the animation and do no damage. So they'll be like, they won't even turn or retarget. And if you try to return and retarget them after that, there's the cooldown in between attack animations. That cooldown still registers.
Oh god. Okay.
A lot of people will do this with expos. I'm sure we've all had where there's 1 bill at a town center and 50 expos start shooting at it, and you pop it in the town center and it lives, and you feel good about yourself because all those arrows just land right outside your door, right?
Yeah.
You can do that with every unit. You can do it with hussars, muskets, strelets, anything. So.
And you deliberately take it, manipulate this. And I'm tempted to say the word flaw, but just part of the game. To your advantage. That's actually really just these really small things. You're filled with so many small things. I don't know where they all come from.
Just from playing this game a bit too long, I think. So
you're so attuned to just the very fine mechanics of the game that are just something that only someone who's played thousands of hours might even register, even exist.
Exactly. And here's another good kind of use of the building pathways, right? You kind of end up getting pathing screwed here, trying to get through this small gap. I intentionally kind of stood them here in melee mode just because that was the best way for me to keep the hussar from doing damage. And TC shooting at units that are not going to die to my units, like this one over here, who might be able to run, so it dies from the TC. And The other important thing is throughout all this, I'm always trying to keep my villagers producing.
Yeah.
There was a small window where I had 14 food, and there was just no way I was ever making a villager. But other than that, you'll notice I've been prioritizing the town center over making more units. Just confident that I can use my base defense to hold it.
And, so you don't get behind in economy, I suppose. Like, this is where I would be tempted, if it were me playing, I'd be like, oh god, he's in my base, I need to clean this up, I need to get him out so I can stabilize, and I'd end up spending perhaps, foregoing villager production in favor of, getting out a few extra muskets. But you don't want to do that. You want to make sure the villagers are continue to be trained.
Yep, and so when we look at the position in this game right now, if we were to look at the results of all this defense, what's happened is he has 3 Hussar. Militarily, he has 3 Hussar. I have like 10 Expo, Musket, Blob. So we're about even there. I'm a little bit ahead. But this entire time, he has no market. So he has no market. He doesn't have the first market tax. He doesn't have Great Coat. Yeah. And, so I think I'm actually in an advantage here, which the score is showing by about, 6 points or so.
Yeah.
And I also have a little bit of a bank, so that, I can get my infrastructure rolling here. I can get a stable. I can get my houses.
Are you aware of his lack of market at this point? I mean, you've got no black, there's just blackness on the map. How do you know these things? Or is this just
I don't know that. That's a retrospective. I mean, I knew he didn't market in H1 because he got a 1210 and he made like 5 muskets with that. So I know for a fact he didn't have a market then. But I'd be surprised to learn that he doesn't have one now, because no one goes this long without a market, right?
Yeah, the efficiency you lose is huge. So I guess at this point you're thinking, okay, where are his units? Maybe he's dropping back to build that market that we're talking about, or maybe he's doing something else. Have you got anything else on your mind?
Yeah, I should be thinking that he could be aging up because of the amount of units he has. But to be honest, I was more just worried about stabilizing. I'm over here looking at all these dead hunts, thinking about where I'm going to get food in about a minute or so, and all my villagers a giant train wreck right now. Like, look at this, it just looks so ugly, doesn't it? There's like 5 dead animals, and they're jammed around this market.
Is that like a facet of just having stabilized and everything's just messy and it's not where you want it to be and things like that?
Yeah, like these 3 moose are out here because I shot away my hunts by mistake one time. Just that's the power of the rush, though, is that he can potentially leave me with a disorganized base. And so, right now I'm just thinking I want to kill these Hussar and then be able to push out. I don't get to. And then all of a sudden he hits Fortress, and I was like, well, shoot, now I'm in a lot of trouble. And here it comes. I'm just like, okay, well, we're going for it. I was getting baited by those Hussar to just stay in my base. And at this point, we've kind of had such a scrappy game that we're now playing, I got to get something out of these units, otherwise I'm going to be really far behind, because I've got 250 gold and 600 food. I'm housed, and I just made 5 Hussar with my 700 gold. So I need to get out on the map. And people even mention, like, why would you take this 100 wood? At this point, my brain, I could care less about the 100 wood. I didn't even know it was there anymore, to be perfectly honest. I needed to get over here and know what he had right now, because it was all black even. I didn't even get to cross the half of the map yet. He's Fortress Age. And so,
apparently first finding this for the first
look, I'm just scouting. Like, I have no idea what he has.
Yeah. You have no idea what his base looks like or where his military buildings are.
Yep. And he came in here. I cleaned these up with my villagers, and luckily I noticed at this point he doesn't have Great Coat. Still don't know he doesn't have a market, because that's unthinkable. But I see this dead animal up here, and I want to go raid it. I believe I should go up there soon. No, actually, maybe I don't. I probably wait. I just don't want to. I don't want to leave my infantry alone. And I know once you've got 20 villas in the town center, like, you've already kind of done your work with your raid. And at this point, I see 5 skirms up here, and I saw 3 goons back here, so I know his military buildings are over here somewhere. And I'm just kind of trying to rotate through. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to rotate through here just to get out of his base, because I don't want to get caught by a shipment. And I really don't know when it's even going to come, because he doesn't have a TP, right? He's playing so weird, I don't know when he's going to come.
Yeah, everything's a bit different and out of sync, so you're not expecting, or you're not, out of sync, out of tune, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of times that's one of my strengths in this game, is just knowing when things are going to happen. No one does this, right? No one sends through a series as their first Fortress shipment, and it doesn't come out, a minute and 15 seconds after you get Fortress. It comes out 30 seconds after you get Fortress, right? So, the fact that he didn't have a shipment and the fact that he chose the 3 cuirassiers, throws me for a loop, and he gets 2 more Hussar out of it. I do know that he has units back in here, so that's where I'm going right now. I'm trying to catch his goons out. And turns out he also has 5 skirms here, so 7 skirms, and I end up catching everything.
Lucked out, nice.
Yeah, and I was able to find him. And in this case, I'm going to take the fight, Hussar on goon and skirm on crossbow, I guess. And you'll notice too, lately I've been doing a lot more of this, like just really small things. Like I grabbed 3 Hussar here because this guy was wrapping around the tree. So if I tried to pull all 4, they would get jammed on the tree and run slowly. This Hussar, same story, right? It was on this goon, so I didn't want to let the goon go. So I actually manually retasked his crossbow to finish the goon, and then pull the 3 Hussar I need for the snare to come back here, because this Hussar is almost dead. And so, just these little details, I'm going to use that to just come in here and pick up the remaining army. And this is one of those games where it's more about the army you have rather than the villagers you have. So I'm not overly concerned about my villager count in this game. I'm more concerned about having a dominating army that I can just kind of sit somewhere and start making things happen with.
Yeah. So you feel like this is getting to the point where it's more about controlling the remaining resources and having an army to push your opponent away, or just be dominating and controlling the map. So
yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have steel traps yet.
Yeah, I don't have steel traps. He doesn't even have a market. And I didn't even know I didn't have steel traps until like when I was over here hunting. I saw it, but I never have had a chance to really get it. And once again, these 3 cuirassiers are just throwing me for a loop. It's the power of the unexpected. Like I was hunting over here, so just fine, knowing that no one has cuirassiers early age 3 in the Francemirror, and even though I saw them, I guess I just didn't register he could raid me. I try to counter raid a bit, and because he doesn't have breakcuts, I get a reasonable trade. But yeah, you can just see my builds getting
that splash damage. I mean, half of them are damaged anyway from the first
shenanigans. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you split off 2 there. Yeah.
Yeah, my infantry is trying to come back to stop that, and I'm trying to just keep raiding. I just want to kill at least as many builds as he's getting. Just kind of 2 more. I think I lost like 8 here or something, or like 6. I think I got like 4. So it wasn't terrible, but unfortunately, he did have the 5 goons come in there and save the day. As you were mentioning earlier, though, yeah, this is one of those games where you've got a whole bunch of villas on these moose. They're going to run out soon. He's running out of food pretty soon too, right? He's got 1 more hunt, and it's going to end up being this big blowout in the middle of the map where we just try to see.
You're pretty close to aging as well.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, I get a chance to age, but
he delayed that like quite a lot from forcing you off the moose.
Yeah, and he delayed it a lot because I had no more food left, right? I had to mine to buy 100 food to age up, which is never, just not a spot you want to be in, I guess.
No, but you had to do it in order to like actually make use of those resources and get up in a timely fashion.
Yeah, all my bills that ran from here. So I catch these cuirassiers, nothing really fancy here, just trying to keep the Hussar alive as long as possible, to keep the snare effect alive as long as possible, so my infantry can keep shooting. I actually make a misstep here. I'll show you. So these 5 crossbow are meant to shoot the cuirassier that's going to be on the run. And you'll see I do it once. Here I'm trying to do it again. And you'll see right now what I have highlighted. I think it'll show I have highlighted. Yeah, so watch. I have everything highlighted, and then mid-animation, I'd split them, but then I had them all highlighted, and I accidentally pulled it back. And the reason, and it's that little of a difference, and we'll see it's going to matter later, right? So these crossbow doing, I'm not sure how much that would even be, right? 16 with some math in there, magical math, 20% off. It would have been maybe 80 or 90 damage. It'd be a half HP is that. But the reason why I point that out is because he's going to use that cuirassier to slow me down here, and it's going to cause me to lose an extra 2 vills because I didn't take that volley. And it's just these little details that they'll get you.
Oh yeah, that's going to snare you.
Yeah, so I'm going to get snared here, and I have to punch this cuirassier out, otherwise I can't run. So I gotta punch.
So
I
you
have to punch
stand there like a bit longer, and actually that really matters here because you're losing villages, which is not what you want at all.
Yep, and so obviously he would have killed something, but I'm pretty sure I lost 2 villas. Like these additional 2 villas wouldn't have been splashed by the cuirassier, and they probably wouldn't have died. So
how you run the opposite direction.
Yeah. So I ran the opposite direction here just because my infantry is up here, and he had already set himself up on the other side. So he kind of forced me to do it too. This one vill just trying so hard to save every vill I can save here, just running him away. At this point, I'm gonna fight these skirms with my goons because 5 skirms doesn't beat 8 goons. So I'm just gonna take those, and because this is all about the amount of units you have left, right? You just want to keep getting these really scrappy trades where he kills 1 goon, you kill 4 skirms, and that gets you up a unit or 2.
Yeah, you did that earlier actually, like taking fights with units that like actually are unfavorable to fight. They're like those skirms should counter you in theory. You're taking fights like that earlier, but obviously it makes sense to do that, right? Because there's so many goons there, and they have like really good range. I guess here you're gonna get back because there's no now it's about even, and that would be a bad trade, but yeah, because you had so many extra units and the extra speed on the goons to catch up with them, it makes sense to try and squeeze out as much HP's worth of damage and value and resources for that.
Yep, exactly. And if you notice, the position I'm in is largely because of how scrappy I've been with my units, right? I mean, if we paused and look at the unit counts right now, I have 3 plus 8. I've got 11 skirms and 7 goons, and he has 11 goons and
You've still got those muskets and
skirms.
Crossbows working away for you as well.
Exactly, yeah. So in Fortress Age units, we're exactly even. But Colonial units, I still have 13 Expo, which is a lot of Expo, and 7 muskets. And so they're continuing to just put pressure on the situation. I'm running them in there just to keep picking off skirms confidently. I don't care if I lose a couple muskets. I think I get a good split there. Ooh, very lucky for him. That 1 HP skirm.
Use up an entire shot on that guy later on. Yeah, I like how you're making sure to get as much as you can out of these sort of what a lot of people would consider to be like almost, well, not worthless, but certainly a lot less valuable once you're in the Fortress Age. Musketeers and crossbowmen are certainly not as useful when you get to that point.
And I noticed I ran the muskets away here. It's obvious. A lot of times I'm lazy about that, but in this case, these muskets represent they're not about their fight. Yeah, they're siege. And when you're sieging something, you put someone on a timer. And so right now he's on a timer where he has to fight me now or lose his racks. And in a scrappy game, you can't lose your racks because you can't afford to rebuild it. So I'm just continuing to fight here. You'll notice my goons aren't getting involved. I even manually move 1 goon around. I try to because I want to lose it. And only as soon as something's in range do I turn my goons onto it. So the reason for this is because in these scrappy situations, you don't want to just be fighting with everything. You want to be efficient. There's times when you want to just be fighting to make a play, and there's other times where you just want to be efficient. And this battle's all about efficiency. I move these guys away even and try to pull his goons. Every time he walks in, my next skirm volley's on a goon every time.
Yeah, trying to maximize it, right? Get the most out of the skirm multipliers. And all this time, it's impossible for his skirms to just move onto your goons because their closest target is obviously those skirms, and you're just out of range as well. So you're gonna make sure that you don't lose your goons for the same reason he is. Just being really, really, really efficient. Yep,
and you'll notice that there's times where he's fighting with more units than I am, and I'm still just standing fighting because. Goons are good, but they're expensive too. And if you're feeding them into skirmishers like that just to get a couple of extra points of damage, you're still coming out behind. And I've finally finished off his racks now. And at this point, I'm content to just walk away because.
Pause the game.
Oh, not yet. I know what you mean. I'll pause it in just a second. In a moment here, it's about to go out of sync, which is why interjection has saved me here. So at this point, I'm actually running away, and the culmination of all the little details and the scrappiness has put me in a position where he has 10 skirms and 3 goons, and I have 7 goons and 14 skirms. So I'm up by a handful of units, and that's enough for the game to be over. I run back with a 40-point score lead somehow from sitting under his racks there.
Yeah.
And we're both gathering resources, et cetera, et cetera. He's run out up here, so he's running all of his bills down, and this is the moment where he and I both know it's about whoever has more units to defend these hunts.
he's out of hunt. He's going to have to move out, and it's going to be hard for him to defend those hunts, considering he can't replace his units. And you've got hunting dogs working away for you all this time, and he hasn't got that. So it's you're going to be creating more units than him. And I can see all of these things have led you to this point in the game, despite being what looked like a really quite difficult spot you're in at the start. He had a lot of units in your base on top of you, and it felt really quite awkward for you. It felt almost as if he was controlling the game, and you kept calm, kept making villages.
Keep calm and make villagers.
Keep calm and make villagers. Didn't make any extra units that you didn't need. Didn't want to get behind in economy, knowing that your current units and of course the Town Centre Fire and Minutemen would suffice. What you were calling the base defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and base defense is a key part of this game, and a lot of people want to know those little tricks on how to do it better. So I think this was a pretty good example of how to defend this particular situation. One of the final closing thoughts. Every one of those situations is different. So like there's little tricks for every single situation, and how you kind of piece those together to defend makes a big difference. So cool.
Yep. Base defense. AZAP made that time to micro scenario.
Yeah,
he needs to make the base defense scenario.
That would be good. My critique of those scenarios has always been that they're not very practical or realistic, right? Because there's no reinforcing batches, there's no shipment dynamics, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So
and you don't often have time to focus 100% on your sort of microing. You do have to queue up units and things like that. So yeah, but still, it can be quite helpful, I suppose. But this was pretty fun to do. I quite enjoyed that game. There's a lot more going on than at first looks in what apparently is a fairly, not necessarily